Do you guys like to play hide and seek? When I was a kid, that was like favorite game because it requires no equipment, right? You just need a friend or two, and you hide and you seek. It's that simple. But some people have been known to play hide and seek and get a little bit carried away. I mean, I hear the stories about kids hiding and falling asleep in their hiding place. And then they're being looked for and nobody can find them because they literally crawled into somewhere, under the table somewhere and fell asleep. So we have stories like that in my family being passed around all the time. So it's fun. Sometimes we hide and no one can find us for a good reason. So in our story, I was reminded of that. We were reading Shelach, in particular the passage from the prophets. We have the story of the two spies who come, and they're hiding out, and they're getting ready to fall asleep, and Rahav comes to them. And so what we're reading today is Joshua chapter 2. And if you're familiar with the story of the two Israelites who are coming to kind of spy out the city and see what's going on, then hopefully you remember all the details. If that story is not fresh to you, maybe I need to remind you a couple of things. But basically, she hid those two Israelites on her roof under some cover, some flax, and then she came to them, Rahav. She's running a house of prostitution in the city, and they thought it was a good place to hide. She hid them. She protected them. The story tells us that as the spies came out of the hiding place, she wanted to hear some words of assurance, some words of promise from her. There's a reason why Rahab decided to hide those spies and not really tell the government officials what has happened. She wanted herself and her family to survive the war. She wanted to be safe. So she offered them a place to hide, and she agreed to say nothing to anyone who's asking anything about them. And in return, what she wanted is for her family to be spared when they siege the city. And as I read the story this week, the part of the story that really spoke the loudest to me, the part of the story that kind of impressed on me the most, is their curious conversation. Imagine a life back then. There's no TV, there's no newspapers, there's no internet. But somehow, Rahab heard that the Egyptian army at the Red Sea had drowned. Somehow, she heard about the defeat of the kings, great kings, Sichon, Og. These are the kings just beyond the Jordan on the other side. And she heard about their downfall and how this band of Israelites just came out of nowhere and defeated these mighty kings. And she believed that her city was next. So as we read the story in Joshua chapter 2, in verse 11, it depicts their interesting conversation. She explained to the visitors why she believed, and she made a very remarkable statement of clarity. This is what she says: Ki Adonai Elohechem hu ilachim b'shamayim mi'al ve'al haaretz mitachat. This is a statement that translates, for Adonai your God is God in the heavens above and on earth below. That is absolutely a startling statement coming from a Canaanite woman. Just think about it. This is not a Jewish lady who's been in the synagogue all her life. This is a Canaanite who all of a sudden understands this. It's ironic to me as I read the story, hindsight, that while some Jews actually struggled to trust in their God, and we have the story of the spies in the Torah and how they received the report and people are struggling to believe that they can actually take the land, this Canaanite woman actually didn't have any struggle believing that this is possible. And in fact, she believed that this is exactly what was going to happen. This outsider clearly did not doubt the power of God, whom she observed from a distance, working miracles. Yet the very people who were in the midst of those miracles somehow did not always see that. I find that ironic, but that's Hashem speaking to me as I read the story backwards. So Rachav, she bargained with the two spies, and she asked them to swear to her that her loyalty to them, will be rewarded, that her family will be spared. Verse 12 says, Hishba'ena li Adonai, swear to me by Hashem. Remember, she's Canaanite. She doesn't know about this. Ki asiti imchem chesed, as I have shown loyalty, kindness, or faithfulness, chesed, as I've shown chesed, ve'asitim gam atem im beit avi chesed, so that likewise you will do to my father's house the same. The logic in what she asks of these two men is very simple. I've saved your lives, though I didn't have to. I could have ratted you out that you're on my roof. So please now promise to show the same kindness to my family. I know you don't have to, because you're going to take this city anyway. But I was nice to you. I saved your lives. Would you do the same for me? So that is her very simple but logical request. And they asked her in return to mark her home in a very special way. And they did agree that mercy would be reciprocated to her because she has shown loyalty to them. She has stepped out and took a risk by preserving their lives. It's a beautiful story, a story of faith. And as I told you before, even stories, even narratives, I believe they can be very instructive to us, and they can teach us principles and lessons that you and I, who do not live in ancient Canaan, can still use in our daily lives wherever we live. So I have a couple of principles that I wanted to offer you that I see still working in this text that can work very powerfully in our lives. And the first lesson that I derive from this is this: seek to reward the hope of the humble. Seek to reward the hope of the humble. See, humility these days, I believe, is a very rare virtue. I don't always see humility. But I do see humility in Rahab, in her admission and in her deeds. What she says and what she does speaks humility to me. You see, Canaanites were not known for their moral character. If you know anything about Canaanites, the very reason the cities of Canaan were doomed is that God wanted to end their corruption, interrupt their evil, and diminish their influence on others. For the whole entire region, he wanted them gone. Their ways and their civilization were meant to die. That's how bad Canaanites were. And Rahab, perhaps she acted out of fear, desire for self-preservation. But why did she think that she would have a chance to escape the mayhem of war in the middle of what was coming her way? Somehow, and I don't fully understand that, she believed that her willingness to demonstrate her loyalty to Israel and to their God would possibly lead her from being mistreated and actually being treated with kindness. That she could bypass the judgment that was coming to all the Canaanites and somehow that she would receive mercy. She believed that, which is why she acted the way she did, and that's why she said the things that she said. She acted first, she risked her life, and then she asked the men, she wanted ot emet. That's what she asked him of. A sign of truth. It translates a sign of faithfulness. She wanted some sort of an assurance, some sort of a guarantee, which is why she asked them to swear by God's name. Those who worship the God of heaven and all that is below, that is how she understood their God, should know how to reward the hope of the humble. Because that is what Hashem does, and that is what she hoped that these people would actually do, which is why she made the request that she did. So I say, we can seek to reward the hope of the humble. We will have situations like that, interactions with people where we would be able to be in a similar position, perhaps. But here's a second principle that I see in this story, and it's very simple. Show grace and loyalty to those who put trust in your character. Show grace and loyalty to those who put trust in your character. People today treat each other in all sorts of ways, and they rationalize what they do with most creative reasons. And it goes without saying that we who are called by God's name should seek to be kind, especially to those who extend mercy to us in a moment that we are vulnerable, just like in this story, in times when we need it. But it even goes far, far beyond that as I read the story. The implications are so much broader. So I say, if you're wondering about this, take the time to see who sticks by you. Look around and see who takes risks, who goes out of their way because they recognize. And why do they do that? Because perhaps they recognize that the Lord is between you and them, that the relationship that exists, somehow the Lord is between it. If anyone, they actually deserve our loyalty, and it's the person who trusts in your character, believing that you are the kind of person who reciprocates. They do deserve your loyalty. Rahab, she invoked the name of Israel's God in her admission because she sensed that this God and the people who serve this God will be motivated because she risked her life for them. And so I think that she sensed that their God valued loyalty, their God valued goodwill, and that these men would do likewise. They would also have similar values. She did not know that they were prohibited from swearing by God's name, which is exactly what she asked them to do. She wanted a sign, swear by God's name, give me something to hold on to. And she was right to ask them for some sign, for some version of a commitment. Because countless times in our lives, we're faced with choices. Choices, sometimes hard ones, sometimes the ones that require very little thought, and we just make them just as we go along. And these choices have to do with loyalty. These choices of loyalty, they're never simple because they stem from our character. Whenever we are having to make a choice that has to do with our loyalty, it is our character that stands on the line. And it is a question of honor a lot of times. And it is tied to the very identity of who we are and the kind of God that we serve, because in the end, that's what we're doing. We're emulating Him. We do things in the name of the one whom we serve. And the kind of God that He is, we try to be similar type of people. Many people in this world do not understand the narrow path that we're called to walk. If they do, maybe we should try our best to stick by them and show them our loyalty. So I say, seek to reward the hope of the humble and show grace and loyalty to those who put trust in your character because they see Hashem walking with you. Shabbat Shalom.